Welcome to Yeshiva Daf Shir sponsor We're holding in Shavuos Daf Yud Beis. So what we got to is when Daf Yud Beis and Mudalef, the Gemara concluded. It said that Rabbi Yechezkel has a Gemara Gomer. He learned from his Rebbe. There's a machlekes. Machlekes who? Machlekes of Rabbanan and Reb Shimon. Do you say Lev Beis Din Masne? Does Beis Din have the ability to make additions on an Hegdesh? Should say that Hegdesh will be used only for what it needs to be used, and we're not for that. It's a machlekes of Rabbanan and Reb Shimon. Now, says the Gemara now, Uli Reb Shimon. It's about a third down the Amud Aleph. The line starts with the words of Divrei Chachamim Nivdim. So the next word is Reb Shimon the Leisa Lei Beis Din Matnei Alem Ma Yavdinu. So according to Reb Shimon, I don't have the ability, the stipulation of Beis Din. They could come and redesignate the korban. What do you do with the extra tmidim? That's where we start the sugya. Sugya starts, I have korbanos tmidim. They are left from year to year. What do I do with them? So according to Rabbanan, I can use them. I can redeem them. According to Reb Shimon, I can't redeem them. So what do I do with them? Says the Gemara, Mekitzim behem to Mizbeach. Kitzim the Mizbeach means you put it on the Mizbeach when the Mizbeach is free. You want basically the Mizbeach to be busy the whole day. Obviously at night it can be busy, not so busy. But during the day, you want it to be busy. You want it to be busy, what happens? Every single day, every single hour, you make sure there's korbanos. So if there's regular korbanos of either the avodah or nedarim or nedavos, great. If not, I have a pool of animals, which is called kayitz hamizbeach. We'll see in the Gemara with base why is it called kayitz hamizbeach? Dessert. And that carbon, and that's what you put on mizbeach. So this is what you do with the korbanos meeting. Why is this better? Because, as Rashi puts out right away, what is a korban? Tell me, which type of korban is it? Korban oilo. Obviously, which korban is korban oilo? And kayitz hamizbeach is also korban oilo. So I'm using it for an oilo. So I'm not changing it so much. That's all good. By oilo. By chatos, if I have sir chatos of the tzibur, which is not mace, a chatos of a yochid dies. But a chatos of a tzibur, it does not die. What do you do with sir chatos, the sir shchodesh, for example? We have in a sugya. You have it left over. What do you do with it? You can't use it for kayitz hamizbeach. Because kayitz hamizbeach is oilo. And to designate from chatas oil, you can't do. So what do? You wait for it to get a blemish, you redeem it, and you use the money for the oil. As the Gemara explains, goes from oil to oil, that's fine. Also, do mikor chatas v'hashta oil, but if it starts as a chatos and it turns to be oil, in other words, you take a korban chatos and you want to use it as oil, you can't do that. Why not? Why not? Why can't I redesignate to be an oil? Zero lacha kaparo otu lifnei kaparo. That's a zero. If I will allow the chatos to be used as oilo, you may come to do it even before kaparo. So Rashi says, "Avach zero lacha kaparo to lifnei kaparo." Says Rashi, "Imachshart chatos tzibur lekir ve'oilo lechash is kar b'tzibur be'acher v'nitan zel kadibach." Before kapara, it's not oil, it's a chatos. Once it was used, once you don't have usage for it, I can maybe redesignate it. But before that, I can't. So if you're going to come and say that I can redesignate from chatos to oil after kapara, after there's no usage for it, you may come to say you can do it even before kapara. So therefore, Rabbanan said you're not allowed to use a chatos for an oil ever, even after kapara.
So what do you do with it?
You wait for it to get a blemish, then you redeem it. With the money, you buy oil.
So you can't do it.
Yeah, after I was asked the boom. Before then, not. And then we're going to bring a few other examples of this idea of a chashash that I don't want. You're going to come to get mixed up before kapar and after kapar. What is it? Or a sugya. They get lost. You come and you redesignate it with another carbon. Same with the zar that you bring, that tzibur brings. You got lost, and you read these and others. Kula and Musa Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds all die. How we saw in the previous daf, he holds as a dimachatus. You wait for it to get a blemish, to get a mum. Until, and then, you sell them, why? You don't kill chat tzibur. Why do you say you have to make it into a, wait for a blemish? Just right away, it doesn't get to oilo. Just use these animals for an oilo. So you have the zero. Very good. Says Rava, we also learn this way. What are we talking about? What's a sheni? Talk about here Maseches Yuma. Maseches Yuma says when you have two Seir Yom Kippurim. What happened? You had a Seir Yom Kippurim that you have to take a pair. One is La Azozel, one is La Hashem. If one of them died, you have to take another pair. So now I took another pair and I did a goyvel. One of them was Azozel. I have now two La Hashems. One for the first pair, one for the second pair. So what do I do with the second one? So what do? Hasheni, the other Seir, Irachi Stav, you wait for it to get a mum. You sell it and you use the money for the dove. So same question. Why don't you use that specific animal for oilo? The reason why I can't use it, even the Gemara understands you could use it in theory. Can't use it because maybe you got to do before kapara. I'm going to give you another example. You have an oshom that the owner already got a different oshom. Right? Or they use something else. Or the owner died. You wait for it to get a mum and then you make it a dova. Why? Because that's the din. The rule is that's a din. What's the difference between the first shita and the third shita? The first shita says you get mum, you bring a mum, and then what do you do with it? You bring the dova. The other one says you bring oil. What's the difference between the dova and oil? The dova, as Rashi points out, is that the dova is a yochid, it's an individual, it's a smicha, things like that. But an oila is, what is oila? The oila is a korban tzibur. If you're the korban yiguf oila, why do I have to wait for it to become, to get a blemish, make it oila itself? So we're going to have a few examples, really 4 examples over here, that we're saying this idea. That really a korban can turn into be an oila. Why do you say why can't I just use it as oila? If I can turn it to be an oila, maybe you'll do it before kapara. Tanya me'achi, or brings another example, meaning the what? Tanya me'achi the what? Sorry, not another example. Tanya me'achi the what? That you say the moisture of shir mekitzi ben mizbeach. That you with the leftovers you do it for kaita mizbeach, meaning the oil that's left over. So what do? You do it for kaita mizbeach. Ma. He says, what do you do with the leftovers? Says the Gemara, if you base it with base, kites. Kites is what you're talking about. What is a kites? The kites is, whoops, of course. It's,
I got big babies. You don't believe it or not.
Let's see if it's going to happen. Okay. So we say this with base. It's kites kivnois shuach lamizbeach. What does it mean? So Rashi says, someone who brings the end of the meal, a dessert. It comes in the end. It comes the like you have in the summer, the end of the year. You have the end of the meal. You have a dessert, and that it's kivnois shuach. Shuach is things that you bring as dessert. So there's a discussion here in the Rishonim. Toy speaks about it that b'nei shuach we find other gemaras that say b'nei shuach is not good not good. It's not tasty. You bring it says the Beishmito brings right instead of the Zaro. The Beishmito wasn't really there. There's shmita on them because they're not really edible. Here you see it's delicious. It is dessert. So Tais comes with different answers of the Rishonim. There's two different Shuach, different stages of Shuach, or maybe it's two different Inyanim of Shuach. But in our Gemara, we're saying Shuach is dessert. Says the Gemara, V'achtiv kichol so'or v'chol dash. The one in the beginning understands in the question that this is, you use it as fruits for the Mizbech. Meaning, you have fruits, you have also kite Mizbech. So what do you mean? There's no dvash, there's no honey, there's no sweet in the Mizbech. Like the Meshuach La'adam, which is a dessert, so the Mizbech, you bring extra karbanis. Dorish of Nachman, Bar Rav Chizdo. Ein mekitzi bar lasoif. Rather than a kite Mizbech, you want to use to put in Mizbech, you can bring korban oil, you don't bring korban oil lasoif. That you don't do. Don't do that. Amar Rava, how bucha. What does bucha mean? Rashi says the bucha means davar habadui min alev. It's a made up thing. Why? Well, in other words, what's the source? Amalei Abnachbeit to the Rava my bucha. So what's the problem? Do you think this is has no source? I said in the name of Shimon Ardor. The moisture needs to go to the Nidva Sibur. Meaning it is that it goes for the dove. That's what it says over here. And the ain oilus oif b'tzibur. And we don't oilus oif you don't have b'tzibur. Right? Rashi brings it says the time of those kanim keeping at toim and yochid v'oif and etzim v'oif. So the whole idea is I have to use it for what? For korban tzibur, for nidva tzibur. I can't do oilus oif because all of it is not tzibur. So they want to have Shmuel Sovala, that Shmuel agrees that Berchonon, Toma Yudom, Shmuel, Kabar Tzibur, Sakin, Meshachtom, Lamashem. What is Berchonon? What is Berchonon? Rashi says that holds like a Berchonon that he says Tminim Shlo Tzuchul Shimon to lace the Lebezim Matim Akitzim the Mizbeach Legufa. Berchonon is the one who said it's a Machlekes Rabbanon of Shimon. That's where we started. That's where we ended yesterday's daf. Berchonon said according to Rabbanon we have a Gemara Gamila that you have lev beisi mate. According to Shimon, ain't lev beisi mate. Says the Gemara, Shmuel agrees with Rabbi Yochanan on the what? According to Rashi, according to Shimon, leis lev beisi mate. What's the raya? What did he say? Korban tzibur sachin mushachtin l'mashein. The knife makes them kadosh for whatever the purpose is. Right? What does sachin mushachtin mean? Rashi says, Sakin hashechtum stam moshachtum lekorban makes it royal korban. Shufresh betchil lekach. If it ain't so korban atzor. Kodol lestomid lekaitz imino relatomid. Right? That the din is that it's the sakin makes it for whatever it needs. In other words, I can't redesignate it. It's only for the korban that was designated originally, or something similar to it. Right? Things like that. But I cannot come and do it. What can I do with it? I can't make it into a korban. I can't say, okay, I'm going to be nivdu tvim. I'm going to come and redeem it. Then sakin mishash wherever it is. That's what Rashi learns. So Rashi learns that we're saying Shmuel holds like Reb Shimon. What does he hold like Reb Shimon? That the sakin is going to designate for what it is, and you can't change it to something else. The Tosfos learns the opposite. Shmuel holds like Rabbanon. You have lev beisi mate. I can change it wherever I want. Only if I shecht it, I can't change it. Once I shecht it, I can make it something else. But as long as I didn't shecht it, as long as I didn't take the sakin, I can redesignate it wherever I want. So sakin was shachto, but not before. So two opposite ways, and then there's other pshatim we show you. See what I am yachim. Moedim shirim v'seir. She will korban b'regel, korban b'shchitish. Right. The seir. That's our mishnah. If you bring it on the regel, bring it on b'shchitish. The korban b'shchitish, you korban Yom Kippurim. Now b'shchitish, bring it on Kippur. The korban Yom Kippur, you korban regel. The korban regel zeh, korban regel acher. Shemitchiloso loibo el lechaper al mizbeach achitzur. It's not meant to be used for mizbeach achitzur, so you can redesignate it for the same category. And this goes back to the Nakuda mentioned before. Where I asked the Court of Shimon, what do I do with oilos tmidim that are left over? I put it for kaitz mizbeach. Taya me'achi. I have a seir that's left from Shchodesh. I put it in Yom Kippur. I have a seir from Yom Kippur. I put it for the regular. I can play around with it as long as it stays in the same category. Oilo stays oilo. Says a Seir, that's what you have. You can't redeem it, but you can leave in the same category, and that's the right they're bringing from Hashem. So that was the end of the sugya of Kotching that we had the last two blocks. Going back to the Mishnah, which says, towards the end of the Mishnah, we learned that whatever is b'mezid, the Seir is mechaper and b'mezid. We know immediately, how do we know that? The Torah Rabbanon, the chiper al kodesh v'tumas b'nei Yisrael, is mechaper on the kodesh from the two of b'nei Yisrael. And it says, umikol, right, the portion of pasuk is, the full pasuk is, umipishay l'chol chatoisah. Says the Gemara, pishap shayim ilu amirodim. What's a mirodim? Rebelling. Pashas Rashi brings the Chumash lahachis. Here's a raya to a question: does Yom Kippur mechaper on someone who does a chait b'mezid? Chenu ha'im melech Moav poshabi. Moav rebel against me. V'ha'im asked if shall livno be'esei. Livno also rebelled. Chatay yisel l'ashgogois. Chenu ha'im nevesh ketechta b'shgogo. So you have here the tzeir and also b'fnim. Mechaper mezid and shoygeg. Mezid as a subshayim. Shoygeg chataris, that's which before it said as if him to his ass I can be doing both. So he says one of them is done with other karbanis, says that's why you can do both. So we ended the Mishnah. It says the tzir mishtalech, and we're going to tzir mishtalech. What did tzir mishtalech do? A whole list. All the other things you have, tzir mishtalech takes care of. Says the Gemara, Haynu koloi. So the list of the Mishnah says like this: Hashal v'yoshiv ha'toyro, hakaloi tzvachamuris, light averis, severe averis. Hasdonois v'ashgogois, b'mezid u'b'shoykin. Hoida v'lo hoida, he knows the right, he doesn't know about it. Ese v'lo isase. Krisus u'mises bezdin. That's the list. Say the one 1 second. You said kalos v'chamuris. Haynu kalos, haynu aseh, v'lo isase. You said kalos v'chamuris, then you said seven lois, seven chorus. 1 second. Kalos is esev loisas. That's what kalos means. Chamuris and krisus u'mises bezdin. So you're saying esev loisas, krisus u'mises bezdin, kalos v'chamuris. What is kalos v'chamur? A light aver and a chamur to kaver. Hoidaynu mezid, lo hoidaynu shoygeg. We said mezid shoygeg already. So what is the Mishnah saying? What is the entire list? What's the difference in the list? That's you have to read the Mishnah. Ben kalos ben chamuros. Other verse in the Torah. Doesn't matter if it's kal or chamur. Ben shasom b'shoygeg ben shasom mezid. Doesn't matter if it's b'shoygeg mezid. And also shasom b'shoygeg ben noida l'sveika ben noida l'sveika. The ones that did b'shoygeg, he found out about it or he did not find out about it. So sofik by him. Now that's stage one. All the Averis doesn't mean if it's shoygeg, mezid, or noida or loy noida. Ve'elu kalos. What is the kalos that we mentioned? I mean, it's not that we're saying another part of the list. Kalos chamuris eseloisas. No. Now we're stopping and say, what is kal? Eseloisas. Eseloisas is kal. Ve'elu chamuris. What is Averis chamuris? Krisos u'misos bezdin. So we rearranged the Mishnah. Said kalos chamuris doesn't matter if it's mezid, shoygeg, hoida, loy hoida. Now, what does kalos mean? Eseloisas. What does chamuris mean? Krisus basic, just to put into the list. Now, interesting Nekuda here is when I mentioned the Chassav and the Drosha says. We have over here that Seir Mishtalech. What is Seir Mishtalech? Comes the Kohen, puts his hand, there's a vidui. Vidui, kapara. If on the video is the Mishnah concluded, that's where you get kapara for Am Yisrael. What is the kapara for? So we just learned the list. What's the list? Shoygeg, mezid, hoida v'loy hoida. What's hoida v'loy hoida? So the Mishnah, he didn't even know. So someone has a shoygeg, but he's mesupuk if he did the shoygeg. He's not sure. Seir Mishtalech is mechaper. Chassav and Droshes brings that there is a medrash. The medrash says that Moshe Rabbeinu, when he heard that there will be a Seir in Yom Kippurim for something which lo yoida, which we don't know, so Moshe Rabbeinu said, well, what do you want from Am Yisrael? You're going to tell me that I'm going to be stuck with Averis I don't know about? I need a kapara for? So then they talk. Shmuel says there's vidui. Don't worry, there's vidui. Moshe Rabbeinu then was happy. So he says, Chassav, what do you mean? What? No, a Kohen Gadol does it. on Yom Kippur. He does Vidui V'Klal Yisrael for all the Averis that they have. Shaygig, Mezid, Noida, Loida is all included. So why is Moshe Rabbeinu b'Menucha? So something like this. Chassidus says he has a whole mahalach, but just to point to the point. He says like this: when a person is a tzaddik, Kadosh Baruch Hu makes sure he doesn't do averes b'shoigig by mistake. He does what's on Hashem, so Kadosh Baruch Hu already protected not to do something wrong. When a person is not so careful, so he immediately does also many mistakes. Similar to Rilum Maseches Makis, the fact that you have people killed b'mezid, there's a lot of golus, a lot of people, a lot of arimiklot. Well, why? What's the shaykhs? Because once you are very not careful and mezid, you have a lot of shaking too. So he says like this: when in the beginning Moshe Rabbeinu heard that Am Yisrael you have to have kapara on all the sheikhs. What do you want from Am Yisrael? So you have to have vidui. Oh, vidui means you did something wrong to get it. It's not automatic. How is it wrong to get it? Because it means you're not careful on the averis. Someone who's careful has nothing to worry about. Someone who's a big tzari has nothing to worry about shoygig v'lo nardelo. But when you do the averis b'mezid, then I have to be chosh shoygig v'lo nardelo. That's why you have a vidui. So that's why he says that's what Agor. On shoygig v'lo nardelo, you have to have a vidui to tell you that you're also responsible for the fact that things you never knew you did. Because if Akash Baruch Hu's mizam and takol al yotcha to do that means you have something else wrong, and it's included in that. So stop over here. This should continue from here tomorrow.
That you should have something that's
Yeah.